what I'm going to be starting off with is the face massage techniques. Face massage in general, you don't want to use any oil on the face, because when you use oil on the face, it kind of freaks people out. You think you're going to cause zits, all those things, so a lot of times it's better not to use any oil at all on the face. But some people will actually use jojoba or jojoba, some people pronounce it, for the face because it's a paraffin-based oil. So if you are going to use any kind of oil, just make sure you get permission to actually use it on the person's face. But otherwise, the body usually has enough oil on the face that you don't have to, so you can get that nice glide. Okay, usually with massage, you don't want to start in with the massage right away, because the problem with that is you want to build up the trust with the client. And when you build up the trust with the client, you just got to lightly place your hands on them, just for them to feel a little bit more comfortable with you then. So remember, you don't want to, no jarring techniques when you're performing the massage. So some people will actually place their hands over their eyes, just a nice relaxing calming, and then make sure your hands are always warm whenever you're starting a massage, just to make sure. Because if your hands are cold, it's going to send a little bit of shock to the client too. So just make sure that you have your hands warm at all times then. Okay, what we're going to start off with is more the forehead region up here. And with the forehead region, you can either use your thumbs. As you can see, you can just go back and forth right in the forehead region. Or you can actually kind of split the forehead with your thumb region. And all the techniques, you want to make sure you perform kind of slow, but every now and then you're going to have some fast techniques. So just make sure it's kind of like a roller coaster for the body. So you don't want it all one speed throughout. Sometimes the client could get bored with that, but you've got to be able to have different techniques as much as possible during the treatment. And you can also use your forearm. Okay, so you can actually use your forearm right in the forehead region. But just make sure you use it more on the flat side. This is the flexor side, it's called. So the less hairy side, especially for guys, if you have a little bit more hair on your forearms, you might not even want to perform some of these techniques. So try it out on people beforehand. But you can also use the palm of your hand, actually go down, and you can even stand up, so you can use more pressure going down for the forehead region. And these techniques are really good for if they have some kind of sinus congestion, especially sinus problems. You want to concentrate on those regions too. And also right underneath here, I'm going to concentrate just below the eye. One question you always want to make sure you have on the health forum is make sure whether they have contacts or not. So just make sure you don't massage too close to the eye region, especially if they have hard contact lenses. Most people don't have those anymore, but those can actually be jarred and actually come out easy. Okay, next one, you're actually going to go around the zygomatic bone, actually come up around, so right around the eyes. And the trick is to connect one technique in with the next. But for demonstrational purposes, I'm going to be pausing a lot just to show you the techniques and to kind of break it up. But again, you want to be able to connect one technique into the next just to make it a little bit more fluid. Okay, next one, you can actually go right around the lip region. And one thing you want to be aware of this is make sure that they don't have braces. So nowadays they actually have clear braces, so it's hard to actually see, but just make sure you actually look at their teeth just to make sure that you're not going to hurt them with this kind of technique then. Okay, next one, you can actually just use your fingertips, just the side of the face, all these regions. Just be careful of the eyes, so just make sure you're focusing on what you're massaging then too, okay? You can also bring the technique up, but as you see when I'm going over the eyes, I'm not making sure that I'm not touching the eyes. So it's just more of a lighter technique then. Okay, next one. This is a way to, if you have your hands, if your hands are a little bit cold, you might run a friction them back and forth a little bit. You can even perform this even before you go in the massage room. But if you want, and the client's comfortable with it, you can actually go back and forth really fast and actually just cup your hands over their eyes. Just nice and soothing, especially if their eyes are more fatigued, if they're at the computer all day long. You're going to have more of an eye strain, so that will actually help a little bit. Okay, next one. You actually, for the ears, so you can actually friction the ears back and forth. And for Asian medicine, they believe there's a lot of acupressure points in the ear that actually relates to most parts of the body. There's also ear reflexology that relates to everything in the body too. So that's why it's a good idea to actually friction these areas. You can even hold them for a little pressure too. And just watch your reactions to it just to make sure that you're not using too much pressure. Okay, next one. We're going to start at the chin region, actually go up, and you can actually come behind the ear area. So again, I'm going to come up here, behind the ear area. You can actually go down the face. You can actually go around the lips too then, okay? But you can come behind the ear, going down. You can even go, then you can connect it into another technique then. So you can help that out. Okay, another one, you can actually go around the eyes. You can go around the eyes a few times if you want. You can even go behind the ears, coming back down, and then making another technique. So again, around the eyes, behind the ears. Okay, and then incorporate those techniques into it. And even for this region, you can actually use more of your palms. So that's why it's, just be careful if you are a smoker, make sure that your hands are really scrubbed, because this is the time they're actually going to smell those kind of scents. And then also make sure that if you like garlic or onions or those kind of things, make sure you brush your teeth before the massage too, because it's so close to an area that they can pick up those smells. They can just turn them off to that massage right then and there then. You can even use your forearm right below the cheek region. And a nice one that I like is you can actually use your forearm. So you can actually start it up here, but just make sure it's angled up so it's not touching their breast tissue, and actually coming all the way like this. And you can connect it into the hair too. So again, you remember you're not using any oil, so you can actually massage those regions then. The main thing is kind of look at the hair as an extension of the body. So it also needs massage too then. Okay, next one we're going to do is actually go right in the scalp region. You can also circular friction right here. There's also a form of massage, it's called Indian head massage. So for like 20 minutes or so, all they concentrate on is just the scalp, the face, neck, and shoulder region. That's all they concentrate on. But again, it's based out of India. That's where it's actually based out of. So again, there's so many different styles of massage out there. So the nice thing is just pick a certain style. They can alter and change it, add other techniques from the other styles into it, and make it your own. Because that's why there's so many different styles out there. People just alter and change them a little bit. And they can also kind of separate the forehead and the top of the head too with your thumbs. And you can also use the palm, actually like circular friction. So again, it all depends on what they actually would like. Just watch your reactions again. So if they're ever clinching, that's why it's always a good idea to have their arms exposed. You can actually see their fingers, so if it's ever too much pressure, or if it's ticklish, they're going to kind of contract their fingers. Okay, next one, we're actually going to go around the jaw region. You can kind of pinch and go around that region. Or you can kind of circular friction around the jaw region too. Works really nice. Or you can just stay in one area and do circular friction too. But in general, for a full body massage, I mean, 5 minutes in all this region, that's probably the most time you're going to spend, unless if you ask them, they want a little bit more time spent in this region. But it's definitely going to eat up a lot of time for those areas. Okay, next one, we're going to start right at the ear region. And we're going to start with the index finger down here. Okay, so right at the chin. We're going to come up, and then the thumb, you see as it kind of separates, it goes up here and comes down then. So you just keep altering that back and forth. And once you get really good, you can actually opposite. So one goes down like this, and the other thumb goes up. So it's just opposite. Just back and forth. Okay, next one, where we're going to go is, I'm going to right underneath the suboccipital ridge. So right underneath here, I'm going to hook my fingers underneath there. And you can actually have their head actually rested underneath there. So you can actually circular friction right there, back and forth. And another technique, you can actually kind of hook it and just give them a little pull. It's actually called a traction. Anytime you pull something, it's considered a traction. Chiropractors, physical therapists are kind of famous for using traction techniques, especially for whiplash injuries. Okay, next one we're going to do is the same area. We're going to lift up the head. We're going to have it kind of resting right here. We're going to hook underneath here. We're just going to rock the body then too. So as you can see, my hand isn't actually moving around. It's my whole arm that is actually making the technique. It's back and forth then. Okay, another area, you're just actually going to rotate the head like this. And circular friction right underneath the suboccipital ridge here. But that's where a lot of headaches actually start. So even with a relaxing massage, you can still concentrate on those problem areas that they're having. So just back and forth, circular friction, whatever feels more comfortable with you. And all these techniques can be altered or modified the way you like. So you're not going to like all these techniques, but you might be able to incorporate some of them into the treatment, and then you can modify them the way you like them. So again, everybody with massage is going to perform techniques a little bit different, so mix it up a little bit and make it your own basically. Okay, next one, we're actually going to bring out the head over here to the side, and you can actually go down here and then up and then hook right underneath the suboccipital ridge. You can use oil for this area, but some people prefer to use like lotion, just so it doesn't get into the face region. You can just go up in this area then. Another method, you can go the same way, but when I'm coming around, I'm going to use my knuckle coming up then, okay? So the thing is the transition for the knuckle where you're coming up the body then. So again, down, and then turn in a knuckle, and come up. So if they want a little bit more pressure, that's the way to go then. And you can actually, for both sides at the same time. So right here, right at the upper sternum region, go here, up and around, and you can hook, and then you can just give them a little pull too. So again, here, up, around, and just give them a little pull. And if you want, you can make it even longer. Here, up, pull, and then you can actually make it into the scalp region. So here, up, and then just give them a little pull. Okay, the nice thing about the hair is I prefer to have the hair not in a ponytail to start with. So you can actually use the techniques, you can actually just give a little pull. And some people will actually twist the hair so 80% of the nerve endings actually go through the scalp region. So that's why it's so important to actually concentrate on those areas then. And there's a massage tool out there, it's called the Tingler. That's all it concentrates on, is just the scalp region. And it's like 8 metal bars that actually just go through your scalp, and it's kind of light, but it kind of tingles. That's why they call it the Tingler. So they're concentrating on the nerve endings. That's what they're trying to do for that. Okay, next one, you can actually go underneath the neck area. You can also just go back and forth with the massage techniques. Okay? And you can also kind of rotate their head back and forth too. But you can find out if they're helping or not, because if you're kind of holding a little bit, then you know that they're holding a little bit then in that area. Okay, next one, what we're going to do is we're going to actually put our forearm underneath here, like this. And you can actually just rock it back and forth. And you can also kind of supinate and pronate your forearm to kind of hook underneath the suboccipital ridge too. So you just rock it back and forth then. But just make sure your hands are relaxed as much as possible when you're giving these techniques, just because you don't want to tense up or injure yourself for these areas. Then you can also perform more of a traction like this then too, okay? Okay. And the trick is a nice transition again to one technique to the other then, okay? Okay, next one for the neck area. Some people are sensitive in the neck area, so just watch reactions just to make sure then. So you just use your fingertips kind of up the neck area. You can even kind of feather too, coming up the neck area, but also in the face area too. So as you see, I didn't use any oil for the neck, shoulder, face region yet. So I can still go from the neck, shoulder region to the face area. But with the nerve techniques like this, you never want to start with those, just because some people are ticklish for that, so just make sure their body is more relaxed to start with then. Okay, next one, I'm just going to perform a little bit of stretching. So what we're going to do is bring the neck over here like this. Never ever cover the ear, because it's just a weird sensation then, okay? So what I'm going to do is actually cross hand and push on both areas to get a good stretch then. So again, especially people at their desk all day long, this is the area that they need, because a lot of times their posture is not up to par. Okay, always with stretching, you want to slowly bring it in, maintain it, and everybody's belief is different. Maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, even up to 30 seconds if you want for a stretch. Again, it all depends on what they would like with that. Okay, next one, you're going to rotate the head like this. And same idea. So again, cross-handed. So it's better to push than to pull, so you can actually get more pressure than that way then, okay? So never jarring motions with the stretching then for these areas. So again, you can bring it back then. Okay, next one, we're actually going to flex the neck. Okay? And you can also bring it like this too to get a little bit more pressure to actually stretch out the neck then too that way, okay? But a method that I like better is you actually put your hand underneath, and that's one over here underneath, and both of them on the shoulder area, and then you flex up the neck this way to get a good stretch for that area. And again, you can maintain it a little bit, you can even rock it a little bit, but when you're rocking, just make sure it's not to the full range of motion. Again, then again, slowly bring it down then as much as possible then. So the next one, we're going to go underneath the shoulders. We're going to bring it up, and you can lift up their head a little bit and bring it back then, okay? Go underneath, lift up their head, and then bring it back then. Okay, next one. Again, remember when we went down here like this and up here? You can actually go down more of the bicep, tricep area. And you can even come underneath too, all the way up too, so you can just make it a longer technique. Works really nice. And some people will actually go down the arms all the way to the hands and then come all the way up this way too then. So again, if you don't have any oil on the arms and hands, it's going to work a lot better for those areas then. So then you don't have to worry about making sure that you don't get oils in those regions then. Okay, next one, what we're going to do is actually just hold down the shoulder region, and if you want more pressure you can actually just stand up. So again, most people's shoulders are actually internally rotated like this. So again, if they're at office desk all day long, so many jobs are actually turning out that way. So you can actually tell if their shoulders are more internally rotated, if they're when you're actually facing them, and their palm is actually back to you. Okay, so the back of their hand is actually facing you. So typically it should be like this, but a lot of people is rotated. You can see the palm like that then. And you can also just back and forth too then. Kind of walk in that area. And you can just walk in different areas too, and you can incorporate a little bit of the arms in that area too. So any area that it's exposed, that's where they're more likely to get cold during the massage too. So if the arms are exposed, you want to make sure you incorporate some of the massage techniques in those regions too. Okay, next one, I'm actually going to use some oil. So I'm going to make sure it's warmed up on my hand, but the best way to actually perform that is you got the oil bottle, lotion bottle, whatever you're using, you just actually massage with one hand, then pump it with the other one. Okay, then you can actually warm it up like this, then warm it up on the top of the hand, then connect it into the technique. So it doesn't break that flow with the massage. That's what's nice about it. So again, so many people actually stop the massage, pump the oil or lotion, work it into your hands, and then actually touch the body. But so many times throughout the treatment, it kind of jars the body. So make sure you just incorporate that throughout. But again, with this video, I'm going to be losing contact a lot just because I'm showing you the techniques then, okay? So what we're going to do here is actually start my forearm supinate, okay? So palm up. Okay, I'm going to rotate underneath like this, and then I'm going to rotate out, coming back then, okay? You can perform it just with one or actually with both if you want. So again, I'm going to start like this, rotate it underneath, and bring it back out. You can also perform it one after another too, okay? So just back and forth underneath the shoulder region. So women in general are going to have more problems in the shoulder region, they say, and guys tend to have a little bit more lower back problems. So women, to make sure you concentrate a lot on the shoulder region. So especially on bags when they're actually carrying their purses and stuff around their shoulder, so that's what hurts them the most. And especially students when they're carrying backpacks, most of the students don't even put it around both their arms. It's just carrying it over one arm, so it's actually affecting all those problems then. So again, just make sure you're incorporating those techniques into it then, okay? Okay, next one, what we're going to actually do is actually, when we're sliding underneath here, you can actually work your way down a little bit farther, okay? You can actually pull out slow, okay? Okay? And then when you're going underneath too, you can also have your palm up and actually dig in with your fingertips, and you're kind of rocking back and forth, okay? You can also circular friction and slowly come up if you want. Some people actually incorporate some breathing into it, so they'll actually tell them to breathe in. When they breathe in, you're sliding up, and when they breathe out, stop it then. When they breathe in, slide it up. When they breathe out, stop it then. So it works really nice to actually warm up the back a little bit before you even get to that region then. But again, make sure you have lotion or oil for these techniques, because it's going to be really hard to actually incorporate if you don't, because you're not going to get that glide with it then. Okay, next one, what we're going to do is actually another stretch. Okay, so you're going to actually have here. So I'm just using lotion for this demonstration, so the client says okay. So I'm just actually putting it on top of the forehead and just give them a little stretch in the area too. So again, that's called traction whenever you're stretching those areas. And again, you can hold it there for a while if you want. So it's nice. So other techniques, let's go back to the face a little bit. So you can also circular friction anywhere on the face. So you can actually use the tips of your fingers, your whole fingers, your palms. Also the gliding, remember? So remember when we use the forearm going all the way up here like this, you can just start with the palm, just going around then too, okay? So it works out really nice. So you can also just incorporate many techniques when you're going around the face and the eyes. But again, make sure you're connecting one technique into the next. So then we demonstrate them. You say I'm separating the forehead region. Then I'm going to make it into another technique right away so they don't notice the difference then. So some therapists actually get kind of lazy the more years they're in the field, so they break contact a lot. So just make sure you're not one of those, and you get a little bit more flow with it then, as much as you can. So again, circular friction for a lot of areas if they want a little bit deeper pressure, but the effleurage techniques, the gliding, if they want more relaxing, soothing massage techniques then. And some people will actually kind of pinch the eyebrow region. You can actually slide and pinch, okay? Otherwise circular friction on the eyebrow region. You can just go back and forth then. You can even just separate just the eyebrow region as we did before with the forehead, but now the eyebrow region. And some people believe to actually go up with the techniques all the time, just because they say, oh, it's going to cause wrinkles, you name it. But as long as they have enough elasticity in the face, it will just go snap back into place, no big deal. So don't worry about, especially the younger they are, you can incorporate many different techniques, but the older they get, that they do have a little bit more wrinkles, just to make them feel a little bit more comfortable, you can go up, even though you're not going to cause any harm if you go in different directions then, okay? So when you talk to cosmetologists, they sometimes have a different belief, but that's what's nice about our field is everybody has their different beliefs, so every client's going to get different kind of treatment then too, so that actually helps out a lot. Okay, you can also use your knuckles on the face too then. So guys, if you are using your knuckles, just make sure you don't have a lot of hair on your fingers, because it's actually going to scratch a little bit, so you're going to have to use different techniques again. So just make sure you're aware of that then as much as possible. You can even go under the jawline too. So as you remember before, we went like this, kind of pinched, circular friction, where we can actually kind of hook underneath. But just make sure not a lot of pressure on the anterior part of the neck here, okay? Just because it's more likely to cause damage, because most massage therapists will not even work any deep pressure on the anterior part of the neck area. If they do, it's more on the lateral side. It's called the sternocleidomastoid, and that's a big one for whiplash injuries that you're going to concentrate on. So the sternocleidomastoid, you might be able to see it on this one. You can actually pinch right here then, okay? So right here, it's a muscle that kind of sticks out. If you need to, you can have them kind of clinch up, kind of tense up, and sometimes that muscle will actually kind of poke out at you then. So it all depends on the person's body frame, you name it. Okay, and then also for the ears, you can also back behind the ears and front of ears, so you can actually glide up like that too. But this is why your mom always told you to clean behind your ears, so there is a reason behind it then, okay? And with the techniques, you can actually go one up, one down, okay? But remember, keep that fluid flowing motion as much as possible. You can just go around the face too, just gliding up and around. But you can even just lightly have your hand on them, just going up the head region. And again, if you want, you can incorporate it into the scalp area. And you can give them a little tug if you want. So it all depends on how much pressure. Usually the thicker amount of hair, more likely they can have a little bit more pressure then. So again, watch your body mechanics, how they're reacting to it then, whether they're tensing up or not then for the techniques. So again, make sure you mix it up with the face as much as possible. and incorporate the scalp if they're okay with it. And then also a lot of headache areas is right underneath the neck area. So right on the suboccipital ridge, that little ridge there. So it's called the suboccipital muscles, group of 4 different muscles on each side. It actually gives you a lot of problems then. So then that concludes the face region. Now we're going to be moving to the arm region.